Hosted by Eric Flannery and Tim Smith.
All right, welcome everybody to Worthy of the Jersey. I am Eric Flannery with my beautiful wife, Lori, along with Tim Smith and his beautiful wife, Angela. How are you guys doing in this quarantine?
Never better, I would say. Living the dream.
We needed to start doing video to get them to actually come on.
Well, it definitely makes the picture a lot better to look at than my ugly face, and I won't comment about how you look. So
I'm a mess.
So today we're in the middle of two podcasts. Tim screwed up the last one that was a video podcast,
Right.
And this is kind of like a test run to see if this works. But we did at some point want to invite the wives on for a podcast. So we thought this would be a great opportunity since we're all locked up together. So Tim, tell us what it's like to have three beautiful daughters that are, I don't know, what's the oldest? Under the age of what? My guess is 10, but I'm way off.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
All right.
Elle's 8, Elizabeth is 5, and Emerson is almost 4.
So how's quarantine with 3 kids under 8?
I feel like it's been better than expected, quite honestly. Definitely better.
We're lucky in that our girls can be self-sufficient at times, but there are definitely moments and days where, like, you can tell, like, when they get out of bed, like they're just going to get into it with each other that day. Usually it's like Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Like, I think they get rested through the weekend, and Monday's a pretty good day, and then Tuesday they're a little tired and a little crabby, and they're like, crap, it's the same day over and over again. So they're ready to rumble. But for the most part, I think we're lucky in that our kids are pretty good. I've put on Twitter a few times, though, that our 8-year-old, who's usually a good sleeper, she's out of her normal routine, right? Like, she does cheer, she's done soccer, school is a long day for her. So without all that, like, she is not falling asleep like she normally does, and she's not handling it well. So it's kind of freaking her out. She doesn't like that she's not falling asleep. She doesn't like that she's not tired. So it turns into her walking into our room in the middle of the night and, like, standing next to our bed. Like, and there's nothing more startling than rolling over asleep and being suddenly woken up to your kid not really talking to you, but just staring at you like you're supposed to do something for them. And that is like a nightly occurrence now. So I might sleep on the couch or something.
But you should probably get out of bed and let her sleep with Angela.
But homeschooling, we were on spring break, and that was almost worse because then they really have nothing to do during the day. But we're going day by day. But and I know you guys were on a walk too. Like, you try to find, like, I took them down to the metro parks today, and I don't think they had ever been to the metro parks.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
in 8 years. So I told my parents, like, we need sleepovers at Grandma and Grandpa's house to be back. I don't care about the other stuff. They can keep that. But if we could ease that restriction, Governor DeWine, whoever's listening, that would be a big help for us and whoever else. But I don't know, what else do you think?
I think we're fortunate that they're still young, so the schoolwork isn't too hard. It's like the math is not above our capabilities. Almost, but they're pretty self-sufficient.
I was going to ask, how is the education part going? Because I will say,
actually, Elle's been doing, like, all paper packets, so we haven't had a lot of the online learning or anything like that. They might do a Zoom here and there, or, like, some of the specials are online, but everything else has been very well coordinated with, like, packet pickups and stuff. So it's okay.
I would say if you flunk out of 2nd grade in this time, that's probably more reflection on us as parents than anything else.
Before coronavirus.
Now, is packet pickups mean you guys actually go and pick something up, or is it something that's sent electronically?
Yeah, so they prepare packets like 3 weeks at a time. So there's a table, you just go in, you stand your 6 feet apart or whatever, and you just go to the class, you pick it up, you drop off, and you go home. Pretty much it.
But I would think it's worse with, like, high school and college age kids, because if I was their age, I'd be going bonkers that I couldn't get out of the house, unless they're sneaking out
We'll get into that in a minute. But Tim, Lori has actually really enjoyed following your quarantine
Your
days on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I love that.
The first one, I appreciate it.
I think it's funny. You're pretty funny, Tim.
It's been a redemption for my Twitter feed that I probably should have shut down years ago. If we're
No.
Hopefully, I haven't put the
Wow,
top of any of your Twitter.
I don't know. It's mostly Al. We've been posting TikToks. There hasn't. I don't think so, because we're kind of,
I don't know. You're just kind of funny. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, Ange and I. Well, and like literally the first day, I think Al said something, and I forget what it was. And Arma, it was the Tom Brady thing, right? Like he signed with the Patriots or whatever.
Right.
And she said something. This was literally within the half hour of her being up, and she said, "Well, who's that? Oh, is he good? Yeah." And I said, yeah, but he's older than Daddy is. And she said something like, "Well, why is he playing then? What is he doing?" And I just thought that would be a funny thing to share, and that literally started the daily quarantine updates.
How's the food schedule going with the kids? Do they stay on task as far as eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or no?
They never stop eating, I'm pretty certain. I don't know about your kids, but I hear the cupboard slam about 87 times a day. It drives me insane.
Yeah, it's kind of like breakfast, and then breakfast gets half eaten, and then I finish their breakfast for my lunch, and then it's like grazing until the one problem is that we're trying to get through the school workday, and then we want to get them outside. So you get them outside, and then you get inside, and it's 6 or 6:30. So we're eating dinner at so it's like breakfast, grazing, and then dinner at 7. That's kind of the food schedule.
Pretty much.
And then we're on a pretty good rotation of hot dogs, chicken nuggets,
Cheese quesadillas
they like, and that's about it. Yeah, so like that 3-meal rotation.
Salad and fruit. We do give them fruit, a lot of strawberries,
some spaghetti.
Yeah.
And both of you are home, right? Like neither one. And if you're both home, is this the first time and the longest time you two have been together? I know.
Like
for this many consecutive days,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah, because I usually go into my office 3 days a week, and then I'm usually home 2 days. So it's definitely been interesting being home 5 days, plus the kids.
Are you able to get your work done, or is it a little bit harder to get actual work done and have the girls?
I've been managing pretty well. I think the first day we tried to get them up at 8 o'clock, and then we realized if we just let them sleep in, we get more work done in the morning. So we kind of just let them get up whenever, usually around 9. And then if I have calls or really need to get work done, I'll go up to our room and shut the door.
Yeah.
Probably lock it too.
Well,
Unfortunately, there's not a lock on the office door.
Yeah.
I think we've teamed up pretty well as far as there's been moments when we both have to be on the phone and you just kind of deal with it. Maybe put on a movie or something.
Yeah.
But we were able to I can handle the girls if Angela's got a call, vice versa. Angela will take care of it. If I've got something I have to be on. So we've had days where we've both worked from home, but not with the kids. And this has by far been the longest stretch, probably since, their birth, right?
Right.
Because you're home for 3 months when they're born.
But I'm not
That
trying to work.
we've all been in the same place together. So I feel good about our family and our marriage that we're still willing to come on a podcast and sit this close together and all that stuff.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Angela.
You know what I think is amazing though? The kids don't say, "What are we doing today?" anymore. Where are we going? That's been the best part. Because they just know we're not doing anything. So they don't have to ask anymore.
That was our secret to raising our kids. Just don't do anything.
We're going nowhere.
The bar is getting set lower and lower, and that's really important. If you
Yeah.
set the bar, like you guys are Disney World or Disneyland people, you set the bar so high that if you're like us and you just take them to the backyard as their biggest trip or vacation, then there's really no expectations growing up. So you're learning new things, which I think
Yeah.
is really good. And Angela, have you do you still like Tim? Because I thought this podcast is either going to be Angela or Lori coming on and making an announcement like they're leaving or getting out of here.
Well, he hasn't gotten upset about the amount of athletic leisure wear that I've purchased. So that's a plus.
That's because he doesn't know.
I don't. That's true.
Wow.
Breaking story right now.
There's about 4 or 5 new packages show up every day, and I just feel good that we're keeping the UPS guy employed and all that stuff.
We're doing our part
We're doing our
of the
part.
economy. So.
Hashtagging this together, right?
Right. Yeah. So if my day job doesn't work out, I can go work at a gym. I'm all set.
Oh, right.
So we're lucky we have space. If we need space, though, you can go somewhere.
That's nice.
The basement or room or whatever.
So Lori and I don't have much space. With 4 kids that are all over the age. Well, Abby's 15 and 2 in college, 1 a senior in high school. Hence, you can see we're drinking the heavy stuff while we're doing this podcast. And it's kind of an ongoing thing. We haven't really slowed down since the first day of quarantine.
I actually think my tolerance is building up. I can't wait to get out and party.
But we have a similar story as a kid. Like PJ usually stands at the end of our bed, our 20-year-old, during the middle of the night, stares us down. But I think it's just because he wants to beat us up. Our biggest thing is we have, with 2 college kids, the boys, they play video games, but video games don't start until about 1 in the morning.
Right.
Okay.
They go till about 4 or 5, and they claim that that's when it's most competitive, whatever that means, because I have no idea.
Yeah.
So we hear the gunfighting and the things, and the guys screaming at about 3 a.m. I'm usually passed out by then. Lori deals with that quite a bit, but the girls have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Socially, I think it's been tough. Just because they're high school girls and they want to get out. So we've had the conversation multiple times about just don't ask. You
can't go.
You can't go. So our answer is always going to be no. And they've asked us a few times even since then, like, hey, a couple of our friends are getting together. And we just say our answer is no. So as bad as we feel about it, you can't go anywhere. So other than that, I have no idea how Lori's managing with me, but maybe you can get into that.
With you?
Yeah, or just with the kids. How's it going?
I mean, I don't know. The boys are easy. I mean, as far as schoolwork goes, I mean, we don't help them with anything. So they're just, they get on their Zoom or their Google Classroom or whatever, and they do their thing that way. That's how everything is done, obviously, with them. No packet pickup.
Are they supposed to be watching lectures and things like that?
Yeah, so PJ, he is in class. So he has, I think 3 classes one day and maybe 2 another day or something like that. And he's in, those classes are meeting, they have a Zoom every day or whatever. They have to meet. Sean's is a little more lenient. I think he only has like 1 or 2 teachers that are asking them to actually be like present like that, like digitally present.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess it's kind of good for him.
Sean has to be beyond done.
Yeah, he is. He is.
If this was
it's hard for him, I think, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the girls, they have to meet. They have, Grace, it's kind of the same thing. Like, so we have both seniors it's a little more lenient. And then PJ and Abby, it's a little more intense. Like they have to be there. They have to be present. We get notification if they're not digitally present from St. Joe's. So then you can, talk to them about it or whatever. But I do think they are on spring break right now, 2 of the girls. And I think it makes a big difference if they're not in school. I think it does help them to have to get up every morning and get moving. I mean, it doesn't stop them from taking a nap at noon, but at least it gets them up and going.
Yeah. Right.
Because if not, we don't see them until about 1, 2, 3 o'clock. Could be their first meal.
Right.
So I don't know. It's fine. Sean actually ended up going back to out to John Carroll because his housemates have been living out there the whole time, and we made him come home.
Right.
But I think because it's his last month of college, he asked if he could go back, and we said yes, because they have only either been with each other or with their families. So he went back, and just to kind of be around those guys, because he knows this is it.
Right.
And
More so to save the food bill for
yeah,
us.
wow,
'Cause it's been ridiculous. And we've also had,
yeah,
you know, so other parents
It's a
know
lot.
this too. We've also had the time where we've like slept in till like 9 and had to run into our kids' room, and they've slept in
wake them up.
and they're missing their first class or whatever. So that's happened a couple times, but I won't get into that.
I mean, I've run in and I've woke them up, and he's in bed.
Yeah, I sleep till 11 or 12 every day.
It's hard.
Those-
It's hard.
Those health classes are always afternoon classes. Everyone knows that.
Well, obviously, I'm a teacher first, and teaching like phys ed and health class, instead of posting videos of myself working out and running and doing all that stuff, I just kind of send them emails about their assignments and try to keep it as simple as possible. More so for me than for them, but you know,
You trust your
I'm just
students.
doing my part. Doing my part.
Trust your students.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He really is not a teacher first.
Lori,
This could end up being a secrets exposed conversation by the end of it.
yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, you know there's no secrets.
That's true.
And I have to say, living with Eric, so we do a lot of things alone, obviously, like we go on trips together. We've always done things like that, just the two of us, which has always been very nice. But he did say to me yesterday at one point, like, I've been staring at you sitting in that same spot. Yes, 48 hours. Like, I need to get away.
So
all right.
after this podcast, she's gonna go sit in bed while I sit
I'm
downstairs.
like, I'll go anywhere if you want me. I guess I'll go upstairs or.
Go for a drive.
But the good thing is, like, we're like most Americans, I think, out there who we don't have a mansion that we sit in, and like
No.
we have each kid. We don't even have enough rooms for each kid bedroom, so two of them share. So when Sean is home, he's down in the basement. So Lori and I kind of get the first floor with the kitchen and the living room, and that's where our TV is. And then the kids hide in their bedrooms with their TVs or their phones and computers, and Sean's down in the basement. So there is absolutely nowhere to go to get an escape. So you just have to kind of suck it up and deal with each other. So we're trying to have fun, and hence
Well, a lot of walks. You're taking walks, right?
we take a walk a day, which has been grueling. I think
Okay.
I have a calf injury now. Lori's trying to extend and to your point, Tim, about the kids never being to the metro parks. Like Lori and I just went to up by the lake today
In Bay,
in Bay, and we were walking around
by Huntington.
by Huntington, and we didn't realize, like, there's trails back there.
Right.
No idea.
Well, we had no idea. I mean, that's the first, it's been 30 years we living over there, and it's the first time we've been over. There's like walking paths and bike paths, and we were like, wow, like this is awesome.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, we're not explore the outdoors type people. So,
No, neither are we.
We go
Lori,
to the honey hut, and that's about
you've
it.
been to the honey hut before.
We don't make it past the honey
Yeah.
hut.
I think it's mostly sidewalks around there. But, you know.
Lori typically looks at everybody's houses and backyards and judges like how they're handling their gardening or their yard as we're walking, and I'm just breathing heavy trying to make it to the next house. And she's looking at her watch saying, it's only 1 mile, Eric. We've got like 3 more to go. And I'm calling the kids, telling them to pick us up. Like, hey, guys, like, come by.
He did that one time.
I did
we
too.
can't make Grace come pick us up. I'm like, I think we can walk back. It was just down Dover Center.
It's a big street.
I had a recliner calling my name, and some good things like that. So do we want to get into any like
I
wives
think we should.
basketball talk? You want to talk about anything, Tim, as we're prepping this.
I mean,
we may never get them on again. So
no, I know. Well, and I told Angela this is her big opportunity to tell us about how much she hates basketball.
Angela, the mic is yours.
It's a love-hate, right?
Well, it is. Well, and in as abbreviated a fashion as you guys can, why don't Laura, you start from the beginning? So any of our longtime followers know that you guys were together, I think, before Eric's coaching career started. But I don't know if there's a poignant story or a quick A to B of, you know, when you guys started your high school romance into college, but you knew that basically basketball was going to be a part of your life forever, to put it that way.
I don't know, Tim. I don't think I really truly understood what it was going to be like way back when. I mean, I was never an athlete in high school. It was not like I played basketball and knew, you know, what I was getting myself into. I just kind of, I don't know if Angela feels the same way, but like it literally was like just thrown into it. You just did it. You know, it was just our life basically. I don't really remember a time when it wasn't our life, because he got the job right after we got married, or right before we got married. I mean, we pretty much got married, and I think we were only married maybe a year before we had Sean. So it's kind of always been just the way things have been for us, you know, and I think I've adapted, you know, along the way, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, you know, 4 kids, whatever, and just kind of just did it. And I never thought twice about it, because it's just always how it's been.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we were married for 10 years and all of a sudden we had kids and I had to figure it out. Like, it just kind of, I think we've been learning as we've been going, because it's just how it's been.
Do you remember what the feelings were like? So that, you know, the story was Eric went away for college. He lasted like a week or something, came back, went to Cleveland State, started as a freshman and then a JV coach at St. Ed's. And then the job opened for reasons we won't get into when were you 23?
Yep.
24? So do you remember what it was like when going through the process of applying for the job and not knowing if you were going to get it, and what it might mean, you know, for you guys in that moment, if he did get it or if he didn't get it?
Well, at that point, I had just graduated, or I was about to graduate from Cleveland State, and I knew I was going to get in. I get my teaching degree, so I knew I was going to become a teacher. So our future didn't necessarily depend upon me becoming the head coach.
Yeah.
But we did, you know, get engaged at a young age. But, you know, I think Lori was just finishing up school, or 2 year, you know, she was doing an interior design thing. So our marriage wasn't predicated on us getting the job, but it just so happened that I think shortly after we got engaged, I ended up getting offered the job as the head coach at St. Ed. So to her point, you know, we literally, you know, started. She knew I was coaching. I mean, I coached baseball, I coached golf, I coached basketball.
Right.
So I was constantly coaching, and she knew I was getting into at least that profession and going that route. But I think her and I always worry a little, or not worry, but we always question when people say like they give up coaching because of family, where I think we're a little bit different, where coaching and basketball kind of is our family and what we've always done. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for us to imagine life without sports, you know, without basketball. And as much as Lori would love that, I think, to end at some point, I think we both understand that it would be way different, you know, because we had to make the adjustment too of, you know, always kind of building to our sons playing for me. Right. And so that was always exciting, and they were always a big part of, you know, eventually playing, and they played youth sports, and so did our girls. And so it was always kind of that progression, like, hey, we go watch dad coach and St. Ed's, and that was a big thing. And then our kids were growing up, so hopefully Sean and PJ can play for you. And the biggest adjustment was when Sean and PJ both graduated. And now, Lori, moved over, then we kind of put our focus on Grace and Abby, who are playing basketball, but they're playing somewhere else. And we no longer have to look forward to Sean or PJ playing. So Lori kind of went from like a big fan. I think St. Ed's basketball was about everything in our life to, you're coaching, great. I'm going to go watch the girls play. The boys are playing at Carroll. John Carroll, so her perspective may change a little bit more on how important St. Ed's basketball is or was, but she still knows.
Well, I mean, I think it's because in the beginning, that's all we had was St. Ed's basketball. Right. When our kids were little, like that was it. That was our whole world. Sean was always, I remember when he was probably 3 months old and I dropped him off at St. Ed's so I could go to the doctor. There were things that was always like that. And then Sean was, on the bench, and then PJ was on the bench, and then they played at St. Ed's and went to St. Ed's. So then but then what happened was, in my mind, we had given, 20 years, 18 years to St. Ed's basketball. And now it was time to focus on other things, St. Joe's basketball, John Carroll basketball. And it wasn't that St. Ed's basketball was any less important to me or the kids. It just was, where our priority was at that time. Obviously as a mom or as a dad, you're going to go watch your children play. And right. So if there was St. Joe's game on the same night as a St. Ed's game, well, of course I'm going to that Joe's game. Or a John Carroll game or whatever. So I don't think that Ed's basketball has ever really become less important to me or the kids. It's just priorities have changed. And, we still, obviously I'm still his biggest fan and St. Ed's biggest fan, but, things are different now. And that's just the reality of life or whatever. So. And
in reality, she really wants me to take a college job or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Because now all the sentimental stuff is out. It's all about the money. So.
Well, and you probably would be out of the house more. So it's kind of a situation.
I'm okay with that. Especially after this.
After this, there might be some more consideration for other.
Yeah.
Well, and is there anything, especially, I guess, going through your kids playing for your husband, is there any like highs and lows that you want to share around that? Like stuff you enjoyed about that, or maybe stuff that wasn't so great?
I have to say, like, as far as Sean went, I'll kind of break it down between the two boys, but as far as Sean, he obviously, I think he played on JV even his freshman year, and then JV his sophomore year, and then he played for Eric. And junior year he didn't play as much, but that was because I think who was in front of him, I forget who it was.
His junior year he played.
He did a lot.
Started.
Oh, he did. I obviously don't even remember what's going on. But I guess I just figured like Sean was always, it was always a good experience.
Okay.
So it never was a problem. And I always felt that if people could never say he didn't earn it as far as PJ or as far as Sean went, because he was, that kid was,
right.
He worked his ass off all the time. So I was never worried about that. And then when PJ started playing, I guess I was a little more concerned just because freshman year he played on freshman like most kids do. Junior year or for sophomore played JV. And then his junior year, he did not play at all. But it was okay because I really think that PJ handled it the right way, which then I fed off how he was going to handle it. So I think if it was, if PJ came home and was like, I'm miserable, Dad's not playing me, it would have been a different story. But it never was like that. I mean, it just kind of was like, this is how it is. I know I got to get better. And then obviously his senior year, he worked really hard and he earned everything that he got. So I think, I kind of fed off the kids, so it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
I kind of try to always do that because he would never want to talk about it
right.
At home, which is fine. It kind of gave the kids a little bit of space, I think, from St. Ed's basketball. But I don't know. I mean, they just didn't complain. I guess it would be different if they had complained all the time.
Right.
So it was
Well,
okay.
yeah, and they both, you know, Sean, you knew he was always going to be into basketball, but PJ wasn't like that, obviously.
Right.
So it was always, you know, he may have one day just said, I don't want to play anymore, and I'm sure you guys wouldn't have been surprised.
Right, exactly.
And trust me, there were times where Lori was not happy with me as the coach for not playing, or if the kids weren't happy, but there were times, not many.
I mean, I have to tell you, a lot of this is like a blur to me. And I'm sure it's because I was I was dealing with other things too, not just St. Ed's basketball and what the boys were doing. I mean, I still had Grace and Abby doing whatever they were doing and whatever problems they had, you know, so it wasn't like and I'm sure like you understand with having 3 girls, like, I mean, you're not like super focused on one kid or what's happening with one kid. So I don't remember everything. I just don't remember it being like an awful experience.
Right.
You know, so I guess
that's something up for all the parents at St. Ed's basketball. Not at all.
I'll never forget though, like my first parent meeting, I will never forget this. It was when Sean obviously was playing varsity, and I went to that first parent meeting that he has every year, and I wanted to hide under the table because it was like, I can't believe I'm married to this complete jerk. Like, it just was like a totally different perspective because I was so used to obviously being on the other side of it. And then all of a sudden it was like, so this is what every parent is thinking and feeling. And I mean, like, I got it. And trust me, like, sometimes I have told him this before, like it's been hard for me because sometimes I just wanted to be Sean's mom or PJ's mom.
Sure.
And it was hard because I couldn't be that because it was always I was Eric's wife. So I always felt like I couldn't be like, people weren't always going to tell me the things they were telling another mom. And I just wanted to be that normal mom in the group of other moms watching a basketball game. And it was never like that. And that was always really hard for me to separate because I just.
Yeah, but Sean's senior year, you and both.
No, I mean, I was friends with these people. Yes. I mean, we were friends, but I certainly knew that they weren't, there were things they were saying to other people that they weren't saying.
There was probably a separate text chain or something.
100%. Right. And that bothered me a little bit, but I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. And, you know, obviously we've moved on and I can complain about other people now. With other people now, but other schools.
And they might look to you to complain, like you know, like if you're at Carroll or if you're at St. Joe's, and one of the other parents wants to be like, hey, this coach doesn't know, you know, do they look to you guys for like affirmation on stuff like that?
Yes.
I don't know that not to me, they don't.
I think they do. I think they, you know, it's common. Like, you know, it's even at John Carroll and at Joe's, you'll have parents come up to you and just be like, hey, what do you think? Or, you know, what's going on? Yeah. And once they get to know me though, they know that I don't really say anything.
Right.
And I will never badmouth another coach. Even if I know that they're not doing something correct, or, you know, I just know how much time, how much effort they put in. And to be honest with you, as long as they're taking care of the kids the right way, I don't question what they do. Now, you know, Lori and I may have different conversations at times, like, hey, you know, I don't think this person's doing this or doing that. But when it comes to public, I never want to put myself in that situation where somebody says, well, Coach Flannery said you're not doing this or you're not doing that. So if anybody ever has claimed like, hey, Coach Flan said this about this coach, they're lying, because and Lori will attest to that. You know, I never publicly say anything about anybody in a bad way. But yes, they do come and try to get something out of me. And usually I'm positive, like, hey, the coach is just trying to, you know, I see what they're doing. They're trying to put this guy and that guy, you know, whatever. So, And what's good in both situations is like even at John Carroll, you know, yeah, we have Sean that played a lot and started, but we had another kid that didn't play at all.
Mm-hmm.
And at St. Joe's, we had a daughter that sometimes started, sometimes never played. So we've been through all of it
Yeah.
as parents, and that's good. You know, it's not like our kid was the superstar or, you know, everybody just said, you know, hey, you know, everything's roses, but we got through most of it. It is interesting though. It is different.
Yeah, I mean, it's we even sort of go through this with having our oldest starting to get into competitive cheerleading, which is a sport I know nothing about, right? But you get into hearing the backroom parent talk, and you know, for me, it's are they challenging my kid? Are they treating her fair? And other than that, I can't. What do I have perspective on?
Right.
But you still, as a parent, get upset at times, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's natural as a parent. I think that's what helps me as a coach, and we've talked about this before, is going through that parent perspective, that I know what every parent out there thinks of me as their kid's head coach. Whether I'm good or not, I know that the only thing that they really care about is their own kid. And if they're playing or not playing, and even if they're playing, are they scoring? You know, there's so many levels to this. So I think what Lori was saying originally too about the meeting is she realized what a jerk maybe I come across to parents, but that's kind of always been my approach is I know we're not going to get along. You know, like you're not going to like me. So let's just throw that out there, and let's move on, and just understand I'm going to take care of your kids and coach. So,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of truth to that. And I think a lot of coaches just need to understand what it is you're signing up for when you want to get in the coaching business. Is you're in it for the kids, you're in it because you love the sport, and you're going to take criticism no matter what you do. So just go out there and do it and be happy with it, and try to enjoy it, and don't let other people and their opinions affect how you're coaching.
Right.
You know?
Well, I have to say, like, I think too, like, I feel like for me, my whole thing has always been like, as long as these coaches are good to my kid, and that doesn't mean you have to start them and they have to play the whole game, because I think the more like things that you go through with your children or whatever experiences you have, the more you learn. And I think you know, I just have learned that I just want these coaches to be good to my kid, like, and that's it.
Right.
You know, and everything else will fall into place after that. So, you know, if they're talented enough, they're going to play, they're going to start, or they're going to get some minutes. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, if you weren't nice to my kid and you didn't look out for my kid as a human being, then that's when I have a problem. And that's what I've said to Eric with other, you know, with things. Like, it's not necessarily the coaching style or I don't even know, like the X's and O's, all that crap. But I mean, I know that's important for winning and losing. I get that. But at the end of the day, like, how did you treat my kid? You know, did my kid come out of this a better person? Did my kid come out of it, you know, learning something? Or did you, you know, kind of crap on them and you know, like, they're not feeling too great about themselves, because there's enough that these kids have to deal with these days. Like, that shouldn't be one of them. So I think that's kind of where I'm, after having kids play, and not for Eric, I mean, you know, the girls and the boys or whatever, I don't know. I just, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that these people are treating my kids the right way. Like I know that they would want Eric to treat their kids. And that's kind of like what I've realized after the last few years.
That's good perspective. Yeah. We don't want to sap the joy out of the sport. At least not permanently, maybe temporarily from time to time.
Right. I don't know.
So, Angela, you got any good Netflix or any good things that you're watching that you can share that people should be watching or looking out for?
Not really. We honestly don't tend to watch too much TV. So we started season 4 of Billions about a year ago.
Right.
And then we decided
And
we
we
need to
restarted it.
rewatch the whole season because we couldn't remember. So we've been watching that, and that's about it.
The Voice with the girls.
Yeah, The Voice, American Idol.
American Idol.
Do you guys watch those stupid cheerleading shows that I
Oh
see
my God,
sometimes
you're
where
not stupid.
the coach yelling and screaming at the kids? Do you guys watch those too?
On Netflix, right?
Cheer on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we watched that probably the first week it came out. We thought it
That's
was
good.
nerve-wracking with all the concussions, but still good.
I think I saw one episode. I thought it did a good job. There was they were going through their routine and they did like close-up camera work, and I thought it did a good job of kind of showing the chaos. I mean, where our daughters are at, they have a high-level team at that gym that competes all over the country, and we get to see them a few times a year, and it's incredible what, how athletic these kids are. And I thought that they did a good job. I didn't see the whole series, but Angela and Ellen, I don't know if the other girls watched it, but I had no idea that school existed, wherever they found to do the documentary for.
Yeah, I thought it was very well done and did a very accurate portrayal of the sport that most people would not realize. The hard work and the actual athleticism and the injuries and just the hard work that goes into it.
Is it me, or is this just my perception of that? Sometimes, especially at the highest level, it seems like these girls' sports can even be more emotionally brutal.
Cutthroat, brutal.
Like just, I guess honesty is the word, but it's almost beyond that. It feels like not quite mean, but maybe almost mean from time to time.
Tim, that's because girls are mean.
Well, and it feels like the best coaches, right? Like Ariema for basketball, this woman for cheer. Was it Ohio State's got one of the best like women's rowing programs in the country, and I've heard some stories out like the best coaches just seem like real jerks from time to time on some of this stuff.
I think they have to be, because like I think girls can really give them a run for their money. Like if they don't like lay down the law and kind of stick to it, I think girls can be kind of manipulative about everything, so you got to kind of put them in their place a little bit, I think. I mean,
I don't know, and I don't want to get into
I shouldn't say manipulative. I just think they can be emotional, and I think sometimes you got to be tough with them, and they respect that. I think in the end, I think like boys, I think the girls will respect that, especially if you're good, you have to prove yourself, I feel like a little bit, but.
Well, it's probably back to too, like where I don't want to say, boys and especially in basketball, people don't understand that kids really want discipline, right? They really, they as much as we disagree and want to be their friends, they enjoy somebody that's going to tell them exactly what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it. This is how teams are formed. Kids like to see like the kid that's the best player be treated the same as the kid that's not the best player. All of that stuff, I think a lot of coaches today go away from because they're afraid of hurting boys, feelings, where it's probably worse for girls because once you start playing favorites, it's very obvious, and girls really call that out more than guys do. I think guys hold that in and girls just go right at it and call it out. So in girls sports, if you find somebody that just treats everybody the same and has got a lot of discipline and works them all the same hard, you probably have more successful coaches in that business and that side. And I think even on the boys side, guys become more, they're better coaches when they treat their players that way, but you don't see as much of that. And I think boys kind of hold that emotion in a lot more than girls. So a lot more boy coaches probably get away with it, with treating people different and showing more favoritism, where in girls, they probably don't get away with it because
we're way too smart. That crap.
They get called out right away. Like, hey, I'm not playing for this guy because he likes her better, and I'm out, right?
Yeah.
And having girls and boys, I think we kind of get that perspective.
No, I mean, we know too, like college coaches on the men's level are pretty harsh too. I mean, it's not, it's close, but that is something that struck me. So anyway, we don't need to go too much longer, but let's, do you guys have any other questions for Angela? Any basketball related questions or,
Angela, how do you put up with,
that's a good question.
Tim?
how do you put up with Tim, who, from my knowledge, and again, it may be different because I haven't been in your house in a few months, but he has at least 3 TVs, I think, in the basement, and he probably has a computer on, and he breaks down not only everything for us at St. Ed's basketball, but I just saw him tweet out like his own draft, and he gets into analytics for multiple sports on multiple levels.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
I go to bed.
Or I guess my thing would, do you just ignore all of that?
I would say March is usually a month where we're both super busy and never get any rest. And this quarantine is probably the most restful March we have ever had and will ever have again.
Is that because of March Madness?
Well, I think like you guys all work so hard to prepare for the playoffs, and it's around the clock, it feels like. So, I think it was just a different feel this March, not having the preparation that you guys typically have. So it was just a different feeling for this go around, but I don't know.
I've been lucky in that, and for people that don't know, Angela and I's first date was a high school football game. That wasn't even a St. Ed's game.
Okay.
It was
Oh, that's right. It wasn't. I was thinking it was.
Yeah, I think it was Ignatius and
yeah.
I want to say Massillon. It was like the regional game at the Rubber Bowl, and we went with a couple of my friends from college who were Ignatius guys, and just kind of, it was just something to do on the Friday night of Thanksgiving weekend. We were home from college, but so that may have set the bar pretty low enough to
I'm still here for some weird reason.
Here. Yeah, and with me and 3 daughters and Angela, we still, when the quarantine isn't going on, we're still a house that generally has sports on the TV almost all the time.
Well, you guys are big time tailgaters, right? Too?
Yeah.
Browns?
Yeah.
Angela, how did you get into that?
I don't know. I think just
As long as he's not outside.
having Tim's influence on sports. Obviously, my parents grew up in Wisconsin, so they're big Packer fans, not really Browns fans, but I don't know. Just
I think
Okay.
what's good for our marriage, and maybe you guys can speak to this too, and is that I think Angela enjoys it and likes being around it, but doesn't get so caught up in.
Nor do I understand the rules.
Yeah, well,
In
right.
our 20
into
years
the
of being
day
together,
to day,
I
or
still don't understand the rules, but I just enjoy it.
right.
That's a good, the
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
aspect, I think Lori has always enjoyed,
Right.
like going out to, after games, going out to eat, hanging out with people, getting to meet people.
Yeah.
Never really, I think early on, she never really cared to learn anything about basketball, but now, just through osmosis and watching the boys and the girls play, she'll yell things out and she's actually right.
Well, I'm sure when your children are playing, you're more invested in like learning.
Yeah. But I can't yell. I have to be careful I don't yell.
But she'll watch professional sports now, and she'll kind of know what she's talking about at times. And the boys or girls will be watching sports with her too, though, and be like, "What are you talking about?" And
That's impressive, Lori.
but she kind of knows. So it's after it's been probably close to 30 years now since 90 or 89, 88. So that's 30 years of she's been around me.
And I'm finally getting a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably at least 25 in-person games a year.
Oh yeah.
But I still could never tell. I have no idea what play anybody's ever running in basketball. I don't even know there's a play going on. I don't know. I like it, but it doesn't mean I get it.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. But that's probably a good way to wrap this thing up.
I wanted to say, do you have a favorite, what's your go-to memory? Do you have a favorite, something that sticks out for you when you reflect on the last 30 years of St. Ed's basketball?
Yeah, it's the state championships for sure. So Sean, the first year Sean was, what year was that?
I thought he was just looking at me at the side.
Right. What year was that? Your first state championship?
98.
And so Sean was.
Tim was on that team.
Yes. Okay. I forgot.
Quarantines allowed us to do a
So
lot.
obviously Sean was only like 2 months old. So I remember that. And that was exciting. That was very, very exciting.
Sean was on the.
And then the 2014, Sean was a sophomore on the team. So that, obviously I remember that, just whatever. But those are probably my two most memorable. But then obviously there's, of course, like senior night when both boys graduated, we're seniors. So like those things, but.
Ask her what she thinks of USA basketball and me traveling all the time.
That's a good question. Yeah, are you keeping your fingers crossed for the Uruguay trip?
I'm hoping it's canceled. I mean, I don't know if anybody from USA Basketball listens to this podcast, but if they do.
They think we're incapable of actually recording a podcast right now.
Well, with this USA Basketball for
20 years.
20 years?
Well,
Yeah,
2000.
I mean, Eric might be the oldest member of that.
Okay, well, that should say enough right there. 20 years, okay? And my whole thing is, whatever. I never complain. I'm probably a lot like Angela. Like,
I would complain all the time.
but you really don't, Angela. I mean, you're really good. Those girls are always at those games, and you guys are so good. And I'm always impressed that, like, I see the little girls there, and they sit by
There are ups
Tim.
and downs. There are
the
definitely
game.
weeks during the year where we think we might make it to a game, and then Friday or Saturday rolls around, and it's like, no, it's not going to happen. I guess.
Well, it's too hard, right?
They're just there for the snacks right now.
Well, whatever it takes. But I just have tired of it.
Get into it though. She's funny.
I just have to say, I think USA Basketball has been amazing, and I know he has met some amazing people, very smart basketball minds, and I think that's been great for his career. But if they could just maybe give him a paycheck every now and then, I could handle it. I mean, when you leave for a month at a time, and I know our kids are older and things should be easier, but I mean, it's still a lot,
She always asks me, like, so when is this USA thing going to pay off?
Because I always hear, well, it looks good on a resume. Well,
Angela says the same thing about St. Ed, so
Right.
that's something in common there.
Angela, let me tell you, that St. Ed's thing is never going to pay off.
thank God Tim has another job.
That's right.
That's right.
And you two have real jobs. I'm just a coach, and she babysits kids, and we have fun.
We've all been lucky for sure. What's your favorite, dear? Do you have one that sticks out?
My favorite memory, I think probably one of the Columbus trips, but that would have been before our kids were born, right?
Like
So,
for the state
For the
tournament?
state tournament, yeah.
Angela, we go every year.
2014, you were actually pregnant with Elizabeth when we
Yeah.
won.
After a game probably wasn't as much fun as it could have been that time.
Right. You couldn't party as much with the rest of us.
What was the other big game?
I went
Did you win that one or no?
We were there last year, Angela.
What's that?
We were there.
Yeah.
Last year, but no, you were listening at home.
It was more fun when I wasn't managing children.
Yeah, 2008, we made the final.
Yeah,
We were
so I
down
think
all
that was
weekend.
probably fun. Like having the freedom to be able to go down and just enjoy ourselves and not be taking kids to the bathroom every 5 minutes and getting snacks and actually watching the game, I would say.
We had a couple of Erie trips that were good. We haven't made the Christmas trip yet, but
Right.
we gotta find. We're just waiting for the right opportunity.
Right. Well, yeah, we've had some great trips. Palm Springs and Myrtle Beach is always fun. San Diego, that was fun. But I forgot this, Tim. I'll never forget. So it was the 2014 championship, and you were sitting, you and Angela, because we both obviously were there. I think you probably were either next, like couple seats next to me or like the row in front of me. And I get a little, well, I'm very nervous for games. And obviously that was very nerve wracking, going into the overtime. And then I remember there was probably like 20 seconds left on the clock. And you turned to me, Tim, and you were like, we won this. And I was like, it just was like, I'll never forget that. Like, I think you knew I needed it, like, hear that, I knew it. I knew that they got this, but it was like, I obviously was a little insane that last, 3 minutes, worried. And I'll never forget you turning to me and telling me that. I just thought, like, it was like the best feeling, as far as a sports event, that I think we've ever really had. And then it's always great to be able to celebrate with family and everybody's down there. I mean, even if if they didn't even go to a game the whole year,
Right.
everybody's always there, and that's always so fun. So
I don't know how all our 75 family members all are able to clear their schedule at the end of March, but they
always do it.
And we've only made a few finals, I guess, but they seem to do it.
they do.
For those. But I remember that as well. That was a special thing, obviously. And, maybe we'll get one or two more before we have to quit.
We're gonna try.
Before you get the college job because of USA basketball.
The college job comes around, right? Oh, I got to stop giving recommendations. I think that's probably what doomed the last couple.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's probably what did it.
All right. Well, thank you, Angela, and thank you, Lori.
All right, thanks for having us. This was fun.
For
Yeah,
joining
thank
us on Worthy of the Jersey. You can follow Lori at Mama Flan6 on Twitter. Angela, what's your social media account?
I am not on Twitter.
Facebook, which might explain my Twitter account.
I am not on Twitter. I do not follow Tim on Twitter.
Good for you.
Instagram and Facebook for Angela K. Smith, if you really want to find her out there.
All right. Well, follow Timmy at Timmy's24, me at Coach Flan. Go on Facebook and follow Worthy of the Jersey if this thing even gets out there.
It's recorded this time.
Who knows? And hopefully, if you're still watching this, you're really, really bored. But we'll hopefully have Mike Jones from DeMatha and Charmin White from Pace Academy on here on our second attempt of a USA podcast. So hopefully this one goes well, and we'll go from there. So with that, go Eagles and coaches' wives.
Cheers.
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 Cheers.